wait for Bob to get back on.
Oh, he was right there. I thought I promoted him. There we go. He's about to jump on.
Kevin is missing. Do you have Kevin?
No, he calls when he does call me if he has issues. He calls into the office. I'm not in the office.
Well, is there any chance that he's not coming? I mean, we'll wait for him.
Let me mute myself and call him.
Bob,
I'm here.
hi. You didn't get back to me on all those bills and claims questions, did you? Just the one?
That's correct. I did not. I didn't get back to you. So I saw them. I sent them out to Michael, but we didn't have the chance to circle back on all of them.
So are we going to be voting tonight on bills and claims?
Yes.
Yes.
Michael, how are you feeling?
Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah. Michael, I let everybody know that you had been involved in a car accident yesterday. And
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, pretty good. Considering what it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened, Michael?
He's about to join.
On the Palisades Parkway, it was a short stop and a hit, and there was airbags deployed in the wheel and the bottom of it. So the airbags, the part that injured me, not the other parts, but I'm healthy. I'm good. Nothing broke. Nothing.
Were you by yourself?
Yeah, on the way to work.
I'm glad you're all right.
Thank you.
Catherine wouldn't give me your cell phone. So could you text me, please, Michael? I was worried sick.
Thank you, everybody.
Mike, will you text me?
Excuse me, is Kevin going to join us? Because I'm waiting.
I just spoke to him and he said he's going to log in.
Okay, so we'll wait for Kevin.
Here he is.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Okay, as long as we're all here,
I
as soon as I see Kevin, I'll open the meeting.
Yep, there
Here he is. Okay. Okay, so Yancy, we're recording.
We are recording and we are live.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the City of Englewood City Council Workshop Meeting. We are at this meeting telephonically and virtually via Zoom. Today is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, and it is now 7:41. I just lost Zoom.
We see you, Judy.
I can't see anything. Well, anyway, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nancy, could you please read the statement regarding the Open Public Meetings Act?
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was included in a notice sent to the Record and the Star Ledger and advertised in said newspapers on January 10th, 2023, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. An amended notice for meeting location change was sent to the Record on October 30th. A copy of the notices are and have been available to the public and are on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Forgot to mention that it was also changed by resolution. Members of the public who wish to participate in this meeting may do so by calling or clicking on the link below at 7:30 p.m. Please see a link on our website or by dialing 646-558-8656. The meeting ID for this meeting is 940-5349-3347, and the passcode is 292294. Individuals calling into this number will be able to fully participate in the meeting, including providing public comment. Public comments may be submitted by 3 p.m. on the date of the meeting, either through written letter or email to meeting@cityofenglewood.org. All written comments shall be read during the public forum portion of the meeting and shall be subject to the same time limitations for public speaking. Duplicative comments shall be noted for the record and summarized. The agenda for the meeting can be found on the city's website at www.cityofenglewood.org. A separate breakout room will be used for the closed session. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, Yancy. Roll call.
Councilman Cobb?
Here.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Here.
Councilman Wilson?
Present.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Present.
Council President Marin?
Here. Thank you.
Also present is Mayor Michael Wild, City Manager Robert S. Hoffman, City Attorney Bill Bailey, and CFO Michael Kaufman. I don't believe the city engineer is joining us this evening.
No, he's not tonight.
Okay, we're now moving to bills and claims. This is resolution 347-11-01-23. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Yeah, page 3, next to last item. Welding 6 trucks, $56,700.
Yeah, there were 6 trucks that we sand and grind all the rusted areas. We cut all the sections that are corroded and corrosion penetrated through the steel metal, weld new steel, cover all penetrated areas with new metal, prime with zinc primer, and paint with Duro Black exterior metal paint, and additional parts and materials. So that comes out to $56,000.
These are not trucks that we're going to end up replacing next year, are they?
No, I hope not.
No.
No.
Anyone else with a question on the bills list?
I'm not finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not finished.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
got one more item. On page 2, $12,500, 4-day aerial apparatus position program. Could somebody explain that to me?
What I know is that there was a training for the fire officers, how to position the ladders and stuff like that. It was 4 days in a row, and unlimited amount of people could show up. But really, that's how many firefighters we have, and that's what it was. If the city manager wants to add more,
we don't have unlimited firefighters. We have
Yeah.
a limited number. We have a certain number. I want to know, was this a requirement for our firefighters to train, or was it given to just certain people? I would hope that everybody participated in this training, because everybody will have to climb that ladder. That should be one of the things. So are you saying everybody participated, Michael?
Well, what we'll do, Councilman, is we'll get you an explanation tomorrow. I'll send out an email. I have a meeting with the fire chief tomorrow morning at 9:30. But this was scheduled training. I'm not sure if everybody participated, but everybody that's supposed to be climbing the ladder and using that piece of apparatus was scheduled for training. But we have we do have some firefighters that were not able to participate. But I just
when you say they weren't able to participate, was that because of something physical, or how did they get out of this, or is this required training? I just want to understand, because if it's required training by all, because they all at some point should be able to, or have the ability to climb that ladder, and if it's mandatory training, if somebody didn't take it and it's mandatory, why didn't they take it? Or was it offered to everybody? I think that those are some of the questions we need to know, that it was offered to everybody, but it wasn't mandatory. So whoever chose to take the training took it, or it was mandatory and it was and it was required that everybody participated in it. You know, some of those things so we would know, you know, what the ask was around this particular training.
And I'll get you an answer tomorrow, but I do know that we have a couple firefighters that were out on workers' comp, so they weren't
Right.
able to participate. So, you know, that's why I didn't want to say that all
No,
participated.
I mean, but that's a reason, right?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate reason there. So I'm just trying to find out how it is and if the training was offered to everybody, which is important. So the training is important for these things to keep these guys sharp.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'll send an email to the whole governing body tomorrow after we speak with the fire chief.
Okay.
I'd just
Okay.
like to add also, just for your knowledge, that we're getting reimbursed
Yeah, this is a grant.
from FEMA. I know. I just wanna let-
That's fine with that. My concern is more how much training are we offering it to everybody so everybody feels that they're participating and we're keeping these guys sharp.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know.
We're investing in them, so I have no problem with that. Just making sure that it's everybody could participate, and if they didn't, what's the reasons why and things of that nature.
Okay,
I'm done. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Charles.
Thank
Who else would like to question?
I
The
have a
bills?
question.
Go ahead, Lisa.
On page 3, when you wrote to me that the city is the landlord for this building, what building is it?
Councilwoman, which one is this? Because we're the landlords for there's a daycare center that has been leasing a building from the city for approximately 40 years. So we're responsible for the fire
Right.
safety.
So you didn't say, it doesn't say the name of the building or where it's located on page 3? The 1,780?
Tibbs building.
That's the Tibbs building?
On William Street.
Huh?
What
It's
is,
on William Street.
what is,
It's on Linden Avenue.
okay,
On
okay,
Linden
Yeah.
Avenue and William Street.
right, I know where it is. It didn't say, unless I missed it, it just said infant toddler and I didn't know what that meant. Can I ask you something, Bob? Tomorrow you respond to all the other questions I had on the bills and claims?
Well, what I'll do is I sent them out and we'll get information and we'll respond. But yes.
Okay, and then when you do that, can you also send me, if you don't mind, this building that you said that we're the landlord and that there's a lease? Can you share that information with me as well tomorrow, if you don't mind? And I don't, and just going forward, is there any way that we can have more time to review the bills and claims so we understand it in advance? Because
Well,
usually we get it 4 days in advance. But this time we got it 2 days in advance. The last meeting we got it the same day.
Well, yeah, we had our meeting last Tuesday. We had a bills list that was sent out and thanks to the review that you did, we found out that there was the bills list had been a previous bills list had been sent out, so we sent out the correct one. This was just a short turnaround week, so we're gonna go back to having the bills list being sent out on Friday so that the governing body will be able to take a look at it and ask any questions.
All right, no, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you'll get the answers to me later this week, tomorrow or soon after. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then
Does anyone else have questions on the current bills list? I don't see it on my screen. I can't see anybody's hand. So if you please call out if you would like to ask questions. If not, let's have a roll call on this.
Okay, Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasowski,
Yes,
Council President Marin.
Yes, Thank you. Okay, we are now moving on to ordinances. This is the second reading. This is ordinance 23-29. Yancy, you want to read the title, please?
This is, sorry.
Do you want me to go, Yancy?
Yeah, Bill, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. Council President, if I may.
Sure.
I spoke to Yancy this afternoon regarding this ordinance. There's two issues. One's with the advertisement. There was a glitch. It didn't go out, so we can't act on this tonight. And there's also, I just need to clean up the chapters because we have an existing property registration ordinance, but talking to the building department, everyone thought it's better moving it to our property maintenance chapter and add it on to that. So the ask is if we could just table this and then bring it back at our next meeting just to clean it up and make sure the publication is correct.
All right. Do we have to have a motion to do that?
Motion to table. Motion to table.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, roll call. This is to table.
Yes.
Correct.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes. Okay, this ordinance is a first reading. City Clerk, will you please read the ordinance 23-28?
Sorry.
Yancy, we don't, the council had asked to see a mock-up of the signs and stuff, so we don't have that for them, so.
We got to table that too.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Yancy, roll call.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes. Okay, now we're moving on to public comment on agenda items. Once again, the members of the public are invited to come up to the, actually we're on Zoom, but to come forward, raise their hand, give us their name and their address. You have 3 minutes. We're talking about resolutions 348 through 352. Yancy, I can't see anybody. I'm depending
Nobody
on
has
you.
their hand raised. Just as a reminder, at the bottom of the screen is the raise hand button if you'd like to be put in queue. No one's raising their hand.
Okay, I'm going to now close the public comment section. Can I have a motion? A motion for resolutions 348 through 352?
Let's move for unanimous consent.
I second that.
Okay, can we have unanimous consent?
Yes.
All
Yes.
say aye. Yes.
We
You can do a roll call.
got a roll call.
Council President, should I do a roll call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes. All right. Next, there are no resolutions for discussion. The ordinances for discussion. We have one, which is amending Chapter 307, Article 1, disorderly conduct. Any comments?
Can we get Mr. Bailey to explain Article 1?
Yes, this was an attempt to amend our disorderly conduct provisions to help facilitate, in part, the parking garage, just because of vandalism and things that have been taking place there. And, it would apply across the board to the city. A lot of what drove it, though, again, was the issues that we've been having with damage and things like that in the parking garage to hopefully enhance the ability of our law enforcement to enforce it and prevent this type of disorderly conduct. So,
What would this ordinance have that we don't have right now?
For example, it specifically talks about the parking garage, about people being there, being disruptive. It's a little more pinpointed than the state statute for disorderly conduct. For example, staying in the hallways and the stairwells without a legitimate purpose for being there, i.e. parking your car or go visiting the shops that are adjacent to it or elsewhere in the city, that type of thing. So it just gives a little bit more enforcement ability to our officers because we've been having problems there for sure.
Does anyone on the council have a problem with revising this ordinance?
No, but I think it's more than just revising it. If we're able to be specific about certain events, hanging on street corners and things of that nature, Bill, if we can, we should think about all the things that we have problems with and put in this ordinance if we can, so that it gives them the latitude to at least have the ability to enforce certain behaviors. Whereas I honestly think that it's an enforcement issue, but at least we'll have something to say, well, you can enforce this.
Right, because it does have general language, for example, to indulge in indecent or profane language in any public place with the intent to disturb other persons, for example. Right. That applies anywhere in the city, that type of thing. To annoy, obstruct, or interfere with any person or motorist lawfully done on a street, sidewalk, or other public place. Just trying to give you some examples. To fight, quarrel, brawl, or otherwise misbehave in a disorderly manner, to disturb the public peace and quiet. Enter any building, schools, childcare facilities, for the purpose of causing disturbances with the operation of the schools. Then there's obvious stuff, urinating in public, that type of thing. So it just gets more specific.
Don't we already have most of this stuff on the books? And for the majority of the time, isn't this stuff already being enforced?
Well, yes, a lot of it is on the books, but the parking garage in particular, we don't really have anything on the books that necessarily prevents people from just
doing what,
without a legitimate purpose.
That's called loitering, right?
Yeah. Now, loitering is a tricky question. Years ago, many towns had loitering ordinances. Many of them have been deemed unconstitutional. However, if you pinpoint or be more specific, which is what this is an attempt to do in terms of not necessarily loitering, but being in the parking garage. I just am using that as an example, without a legitimate purpose for being there and to engage in disorderly conduct. So,
yeah, the only problem, like I stated previously when we brought this up, was in regards to the span of control. When we've had situations, especially in my ward, where people have been arrested for littering lately, and this is another recent body slam from the police officers just a couple of days ago. And so what I don't want to happen is to have that escalate to any reason for someone just to be on the corner and they have the ability to stop and question these young individuals. And I would hope that we're looking at the whole scope of parking. And I have heard stories from our last personal council meeting where elderly people were parking in the parking garage, and it was a very dim lit area coming through the parking lot, outside the parking lot, and some of the stairways. So hopefully we can look at the whole situation to hopefully improve safety for our residents and visitors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I call us I don't understand. Charles, were you inferring that this the way this is being constructed now is not specific enough? Do you want us to add
Well,
something? to
I
this?
think there are issues or areas that we need to explore if and only it gives us the ability to address certain concerns that the residents have brought in front of us. I mean, Bill talked about this was pretty much covering the parking garage, because if anybody's been there, you've seen the mess. You've seen the graffiti and all that, which is just out of control. But again, I'm saying, are we experiencing that in other places? Because I can tell you that I've gotten a number of calls recently around Catherine Street where you have kids just standing out there smoking marijuana and playing music in the afternoon. So how do we deal with that? How do you address that? These are some of the things I'm saying. Is there any other items that should be a part of this conversation that we could potentially address with this particular ordinance? I don't know. Maybe there are things that people are hearing. If nothing else, let's have that discussion.
Charles, just to add to what you're saying, I've gotten calls about Catherine Street also,
Yeah.
and it's not just during the day, but it's a hangout, and evidently they claim, I have not seen it with my own eyes, that it's a drug marketplace. So I have spoken to the police department, and I'm just seconding what you're saying. I don't know if it's an ordinance that we need. I think it's enforcement.
Well, yeah, but in order to really, all we're doing is we put an ordinance there, but all of it relies on enforcement, right? We can have 50 ordinances. If we don't enforce them, it don't matter. So all I'm saying is if we have things that we can address this way, put ordinance, if it works, it works. But at least if nothing else, we're having that conversation to explore whatever avenues we need to go down to address these issues. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Judith, if I may, it's Michael. A question for the lawyer, from Mr. Bailey. Are there notifications or notice requirements? In other words, are there going to be new postings of signs? I don't want to have people arrested because of loitering and there isn't signs posted so that people are on notice. What Councilman Wilson is referring to is something that I concur with, that there are arrests for this kind of conduct. We have to put the community on notice that something is an arrestable function. Is that something that's been accounted for in the proposed ordinance?
We could put up, if this ordinance was ultimately adopted, signs could be put up, see borough ordinance, thus and such. But this is not a loitering ordinance. If someone wants to stand on a street corner, as long as they're not bothering anybody or harassing anyone, that's okay. This, though, is for conduct that is disorderly, actually, not just being there, because you can't really just stop people from, if they're not being disorderly. You can stand on a corner if you want, if you're not obstructing.
And thank you. And my final question is it effective or useful to have both the prosecutor, the city prosecutor, and the city public defense lawyer or the judge to opine on this proposed ordinance, or has it been run through their offices already?
It has not. The judge really can't opine.
Yeah.
But what about the prosecutor, the police, and then a proper defense lawyer to make sure that we're not tripping any residents up inadvertently in this effort too? I'm all for enforcement, but if we find ourselves vulnerable because we didn't notify, or there are certain measures that could be actionable, isn't it wise to bring them in either as experts or get their opinions?
Well, the police have been involved for sure.
Okay, so then at least then a defense lawyer, perhaps, or the prosecutor for that matter. Did the prosecutor see it?
I don't know.
But I just think it wise, as a former federal prosecutor myself, if we have the ability to make a law, that we have the people that have to enforce it and defend it, or push back against it, opine also.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, we can shoot it over to the prosecutor and the public defender.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Now, the public defender, of course, is not going to,
he's not going to opine on that.
They need to
Yeah,
advocate
no,
for people, you know, so
they
they're not
they
gonna,
may take issue. They may take issue. They may not take issue, but at least it's good faith. And if there's any procedural grounds that we get tripped up or we need to amend it, I'd rather do it now than learn the hard way through litigation.
Okay, does anyone else have something? To
Just
add to
real
the-
quick, have we had incidents where perpetrators have been addressed and the police officers don't have the legal teeth to detain them or deter them or keep them off the property?
I believe there's been at least one incident within the past month in the parking garage where that's been the case. Where there was an incident in a stairwell, and you know, the police didn't believe they had the teeth to take action.
Well, then that's the police understanding what's property, whose property that is and who's not, because that's part city owned and that's part privately owned by somebody else. So they should understand that any property that's city owned, they should be able to take action on it.
well, the city owns it, but we do have to share part of the parking revenue with a private party.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
so you're violating the city's ownership and you're violating somebody's private property too, right? You know what I'm saying? Because we're in ownership with the private company. So I think they would have had the right to execute whatever activities they need to do that. You just can't stand there and deface. I mean, if anybody's been in that garage lately, you see how it's been defaced. It's a mess.
One last question, and I think this may be for you, Bob.
Sure.
If this goes and everything goes well and we pass this, I mean, does it change the rotation of the police or whoever's going to monitor this situation? I mean, are we increasing the rotation to try to decrease the, you know, I think you stated last time the cameras are back up.
Correct.
And sometimes the easiest things we miss are right in front of us because it's right across the street from the police station. So I just wanted to know if that was part of the solution. Are we increasing rotations through the garage?
The answer is yes. There's been more on each shift. There's been more drive-throughs of the garage. If that's the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. Anybody else? If not, I'm going to close this part of the discussion and open up the floor to any public comment. Once again, if there's anyone to speak, we need your name and your address. You'll have 3 minutes, and I have to depend on Yancy to tell me if anybody is present that would like to speak.
Yes, Diane Jansen has her hand raised. Let me just get the clock going.
Diane?
Yes, let me just allow her to talk. Diane, go ahead and unmute.
Hello, am I unmuted to you?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, thank you. This is the general public comment, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Diane Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. I had the privilege of attending the via Zoom, the special Teaneck Council meeting where they were talking about a peace and unity resolution, which they unanimously approved. But there was some thoughts for our times, another perspective. One Teaneck Jewish resident said to the council, "Don't play in international politics. Don't play in politics at all. These resolutions have only caused harm and disharmony in this town. Pass a resolution not to pass any more of these resolutions." Teaneck Deputy Mayor, too, Ellie Katz, had some very poignant words. He said, "I'm still very sad by the divisions of the town tonight. Historically, I've always been opposed to these national and international symbolic resolutions, since while all of the causes are important, I'm a firm believer that local council chambers should focus on local issues. I am hopeful that we can resume that position after tonight. Teaneck is famously known as a safe home for all. I do believe that there's more that we have in common than differences. Tomorrow, we're still going to continue to be neighbors and a community, regardless of your international and feelings. I feel it is our responsibility and of every Teaneck community member, and in this case, I would say Englewood and our leaders, try to keep our community together and to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, every resident feels welcome, every resident feels respected, and every resident feels safe in our great town of Englewood. So he had a Teaneck, of course, where I substituted Englewood, but this is another perspective, and it's something I think the council really needs to consider to help end the divide in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Yancy, is anybody else on the queue, in the queue?
There's only one other person in public, and yes, he has his hand raised. Mr. Diaz, go ahead, unmute.
I think he's mute. Oh, there he goes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of issues. I want to thank everyone for helping us with these lights on West Hudson and Knickerbocker to prevent any further accidents there. But one thing that I did observe is that the cars that are driving north and south, the light stays on for 2 minutes. But when you drive east to west, it stays on for 20 seconds. So now now it's causing congestion. The cars are waiting for that light to turn back on, and they're going from Knickerbocker all the way to Manor Road. There's like 10 cars there early in the morning waiting for that light, which basically some people are starting to rush that light in order to not be caught. So I'm not sure if the timing is correct according to traffic. That's one issue. The other issue is West Hudson Street was repaved, and now the contractor's in there digging test pits, 5x5 test pits, at least about 5 different sections. We've stated that if you had any, PSC had any work or sewers or whatever, that they should do that first before we pave the entire street. I mean, it's ridiculous that it's going to look like, you know, the way it's not going to look right. Okay, you kind of lose the integrity of the street once someone comes back in there and cuts it. So there's 2 streets off West Hudson where I observed that they did dig gas mains along those streets. Now you can pave it, and they're not going to go back into it. I was going to thank you for doing Shannon Court, also the repaving, but they also marked that up, and it looks like they're going to do test pits there. There was a gas main that was caused 3 leaks there. It's cast iron gas main. I asked the guys in PSC, why don't you fix that first before we pave it? And it looks like they're going to do it anyway. So we look like a bunch of morons here. You got a perfectly great street, and now we're digging back into it. There's no excuse for that. I've always said that we own those streets. We're supposed to dictate to them that which streets are going to be done, and they should complete any work before that period. And that happens if you give them a list like a year and a half ahead of schedule so that they can schedule their work. I heard you say about that parking garage and stuff. How much revenue are we losing by people hanging around? People are afraid to walk into that area because they think something's going to happen to them. Could that be an issue?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
They're the only two members of the public present.
So you can close the public portion.
All right.
If you want, I can respond to part of what Mr. Diaz's question, not all of it, but
Please do so.
sure. Mr. Diaz, you bring up a valid point about road paving, and we do send out the roads that are going to be repaved, that we believe will be repaved over the next 2 years. We send them out to Veolia, which is the water company, as well as PSE&G, and to a couple of other quasi monopolies, such as the cable company. With some of the road paving this year, we were very upset that we paved the roads and all of a sudden they have to be dug up. PSE&G is telling us that they didn't find any gas leaks before the roads were being repaved, but after the roads were repaved, they located gas leaks. And some of them they are trying to blame on the rollers going over the rollers paving the road, and that's caused some of the old pipes to crack. I don't necessarily buy it. It's very frustrating, and they're basically going to have to pave, repave one lane of road in different locations. But that's part of the city's frustration. We send out the lists where we know we're going to pave. They tell us where the work is going to be done. We've reallocated paving because they were going to be doing work, and then we have brand new roads that wind up being dug up. So we're just as frustrated as you. This is really upsetting. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, can we close the public session? We're now going to go into closed session. I don't have the item number for closed session, but
It would be number 253.
I'm sorry, what?
It would be number 253.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go into closed session? Please.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, Yancy.
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Affirmative.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay. We will now be going into closed session.
Everyone, please go to the
Anytime.
link I sent you this
Good
afternoon.
night, everyone.
All right.
Hi, Michael. Did you have a question, Mr. Cobb? Oh, you're muted.
That Mr. Bailey had to read the statement to go into closed session?
Oh, I think we just went by resolution title.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'll see you there.
Yep.